A new day. Morning. Snow has fallen in Canada. Winter is not giving up. The car is already ready. Well, not quite ready, that is, it remains to add gas to the air conditioning system, and it will be ready. We're done with this car. It appears, as you remember I said, 24 hours were given for this work. I did it in 20 hours. It took a long time that there was not a ready-made engine, roughly speaking, a new engine that needed to be delivered. It had to be disconnected from the box, from everything, to throw the wiring. That's what took time. I didn't know what we were going to do today. This will be a surprise for me for now. Let's see if they will give us something new to do. Another master is now engaged in the fact that he also takes out the Ram engine 1500 Hemi 5 and 7 liters, a B-shaped 8. The engine is located along the car. It's a little easier to get it, but again there was a lot of work about disconnecting the box. It's all done from below. Now he's already hooked him. It's today he's going to get him. I picked up a little. I did similar work and put a new engine, not Boishny. A new engine came. Well, it's like it's new, washed apparently, I think restored, so to speak. Because there are companies that are engaged in restoring the engine, give a guarantee. Here it was in such a plastic box. Unfortunately, there is no video to show it, but it was interesting. It is interesting that the new engine is packed, everything is in oil, some elements had to be rearranged there. In particular valve covers, front covers, that is, it was in such a half-disassembled state. March 20th. Snow. So, the new car Toyota Sienna, 2008 year V-shaped engine. The volume, unfortunately, I do not know. The job is next, never guess. Replacement of catalysts. Front catalyst, rear catalyst. Here. As it turned out, well, in general, this is our employee's car. As an employee, it was the chief truck mechanic who entrusted me with this job. I don't know what I did to him. In general, he bought these new catalysts for $500. The production is America, and we will change them. The front catalyst seems to be easier to change a little, but the rear one. The back one will be more difficult. Well, let's see. The program gives an hour and 20 minutes for this work, but I do not know under what conditions. This is when the engine is completely new, when everything is unscrewing well. There are always problems with the studs on the exhaust manifolds. Here. Well, I was corrected, given 5 hours, we'll see. Well, I'm pleasantly surprised. I broke only one bolt at the very bottom. This does not apply to the pins on the head. It does not apply to the attachment of the catalyst itself. Here. Well, I took it off pretty quickly. 1 hour of work. The only thing is, these tubes are in the way. I had to bend them a little. At first, I tried to disconnect them, but there is one bolt, and the second one under this bar, and this is the bar. To remove this bar, it is necessary to remove the bumper. So without that, here it is. Here it turns out the old one. Here will be a new one. For some reason, the new one goes without protection. Well, that's okay. Of course, he is a little different. The main thing is that the seats are in order, as it fits. Well, it remains to get the old gasket, clean everything and install. But probably, I will disconnect the rear catalyst now, and first install all the catalysts. And then I will connect the exhaust system already, because it will be easier that way.
Сначала установлю все катализаторы, а потом буду подключать уже выхлопную систему, потому что так будет проще.
I also want to show the old catalyst, and it's clear that the ceramic crumb. That is, it began to crumble. And here, if you look closely, some honeycombs also began to fall away. Yes, a replacement catalyst in any case. Well, I've cleared the seats. Here. I also cleaned the exhaust pipe. There was a gasket standing here. A gasket here is such a plan. Well, we have a new one. I cleaned it means with such a tool, such a nozzle. Well, it's a little knocked down, but it's a plastic that doesn't damage aluminum. I was cleaning the head. A seat for the catalyst. And with this, I cleaned the exhaust pipe itself directly, where this gasket was sitting. Here is such a tool. By the way, this nozzle is sold on AliExpress. I don't remember where I ordered, maybe on Amazon. It is also available on Amazon, on AliExpress. Just wait a little longer with AliExpress. There are such nozzles, I have shown in previous videos, there are more of these. Well, this is already something that I have here, but there are bigger ones, with a larger area, so to speak. Exhaust manifold, catalyst. Rear view. It turns out that this bolt was already broken. I broke this one, but in any case, it will drill to holes and fit. This pipe will be held on new bolts. Then the catalyst is still held on this bracket, and unscrewing this bolt, it came out very badly. There is aluminum left on it, and the bolt will also be changed. Do not twist it there, otherwise the thread will be torn off. And there is, in principle, quite a lot of space. Here is the exhaust pipe disconnected. It remains to unscrew the studs, well, nuts from the studs, and that's it. And this catalyst will also be disconnected. Well, that's it. 15 minutes and everything is removed. It turns out that I also threw the exhaust pipe back a little here. I threw it away from here, and it's good that I threw it away, because the gasket is already burned out here. I have a new gasket. Here. I hung it on a rubber band like this. The catalyst itself was removed in this state. I also wanted to tell you. When unscrewing exhaust systems, the nuts are usually already boiled, and they are very difficult to unscrew. On Toyota, this is some kind of direct exception, but mostly it's a disaster. And in order to unscrew a nut or bolt, it is better to use just such a socket than a polyhedron.
Вот такой сокет, чем нежели многогранник.
Because if you use a polyhedron, he just licks this nut or bolt, and that's it. It works better. In addition, we use such a liquid, it's like a flash drive. It's like a shorter instead. Well, in general, the surfaces are prepared, everything is cleaned. I also cleaned this pipe, removed the old gasket, cleaned this. Everything is ready to be installed back. So, well, the catalyst is installed. I just baited the nuts. This is the front catalyst, the simplest, the lightest. So, let's go to the program. So the program tells us that I have to tighten it with an effort of 21 newtons per meter or 15 bush-pounds. There is a dynamometric key of mine. I set these values, tighten it with a dynamometric key. Well, that's it. The new catalyst on the back side is also worth it. I have already tightened it with the necessary effort. Everything is cleaned. It remains to put gaskets and connect this exhaust system already. Here, in addition, I drilled holes, and it will be under the bolts. So, well, everything is delayed. Everything is standing here. Along with the catalysts came new bolts. They are installed. Here I drilled, I also put new bolts. Everything is fixed here. In addition, I changed the bolt here. Yes, I started the engine, checked for exhaust leaks. Everything works. Everything is fine. The car is ready. Everything is assembled. It turns out that this is a 3 and 5 volume engine. I spent 4 hours on this job. That's it, the car is free. Ford F550 again. This machine turns out to be registered with some company, and it turns out, go. They install a blue sticker that this car belongs to some company, works for some company. And the next situation is if on the road, they are stopped by the police, special police, which precisely controls that the car is in working condition. They check everything completely under carriage. They can even check if the mudguard is the right length. That is, even if the mudguard there is different in length, that is, it is not as long as it needs to be, they can write them a fine. And this car came here because it was issued a fine. Because of the loose bolt, namely the shock absorber bolt. Here it is dangling. I hope you can see this nut from behind. She's hanging out. Well, it can be seen that the nut itself, it turns out, went. Well, it has a move. Therefore, you wrote them a fine and sent them to the shop so that they could pass the inspection in a new way.
Для того, чтобы они по новую прошли техосмотр.
Let's tighten this nut now. It's a matter of 5 minutes, and, probably, there will be a full inspection of the car,
Полный
a
осмотр
check.
машины, проверка.
Only
Только
then
тогда
can the shop put a
всё,
blue
можно
sticker on them
поставить
again.
опять синюю наклейку.
Somewhere it is put here, for example, that the machine can be used in the future for work.
Для работы.
Everything, even the car. Do you know what kind of sign it is? This is a sign that a 10-minute job turns into an hour or even more. What's the point? This foot holds the nut so that it does not turn.
Гайку, чтобы она не проворачивалась.
The nut itself. The nut itself sits in this enclosed space.
Сидит в этом закрытом помещении. Отсюда,
From here,
грубо говоря,
roughly
только-
speaking,
только
only a small
получается
hole is obtained.
небольшое отверстие.
There sits a nut,
Там сидит
well,
гайка.
and a bolt.
Вот. Ну и болт. Суть
What's the
какая?
point? I tried to tighten this nut. As a result, the eye that held this nut broke off.
Ушко, которое удерживало эту гайку.
That is, the nut began to scroll, and I spent half an hour trying to somehow hold this nut in order to unscrew this bolt.
Удержать для того, чтобы открутить этот болт.
Now we will wait for a new nut, because this car will not pass inspection without a special nut.
Инспекцию.
With an ear like this that
машина не
holds this
пройдет.
nut.
Без специальной гайки, вот с таким вот ушком, которое удерживает эту гайку.
That's the way things are.